Uncomfortable about, new, revelations about my 36M wife, 35F. I've known her for 15 years. Dated her for 9 and finally married last December. A few months prior to the wedding I found out many things that made me uncomfortable, and when mixed with other things that were happening at the time a cocktail of resentment was formed. I'll list them here to make it simple to go through and understand. She has told me that she fell for her boss the first year that we dated, said that she would do the utmost to impress him. Had a crush for a coworker from another country last year. Even though she says she's not sexual and has rarely initiated sex, she still fantasizes about other men, mostly rock stars and actors, and those moments are the only ones that make her reach orgasm. Finds sexual innuendos with male friends funny, not sexual, just jokes. Had a male friend that she would stay in touch with during the first years of our relationship, but he was actually a person she dated and slept with. Has a male friend that she meets with every now and then physically, yearly, but is always in touch via social media, that clearly likes her as more than a friend. She knows this, and says that it's okay as long as she's not into him and not pursuing. She keeps talking about how good some girls look, while repeating she's not a lesbian. Yet dated and said used to deeply kiss this girl all the time back in probably, or around, 2010. Had oral sex with a guy she dated. The relevance comes next. And I found that she kept in touch during, at least, the first year of our relationship with this person I mentioned on my last point. She denies it, even after confronting her with a screenshot I took from her Facebook account after I went through her phone. Not proud about this. Other things that affected the relationship. She knows I had unprotected sex with 2 women before we became a couple. She planned and took vacations to Europe during a dark episode of my life, chronic illness for 3 years now. Since I found out she kept in touch with past acquaintances in one way or another, I decided to reach out to a former girlfriend of mine as I wanted to talk back to her but never did because I always saw that as inappropriate while in a relationship with someone else. 2. See if her everything is okay as long as you're friends way of thought is honest. It's not. All this has caused me to lose trust in her, constant fights that we never used to have, and other rather awkward situations. There's more to the mix, but my mind is cloudy and dark right now. Will update as soon as I can. You learned all this months before the wedding, and still went through with it. Why? This whole situation just sounds really toxic and unhealthy on both sides. The one thing that seems certain is that the two of you shouldn't be in a relationship together. Why did you marry her when you knew all of those things and had resentment before the wedding? Dude, you sound awful. She deserves so much better. She knows I had unprotected sex with 2 women before we became a couple. I don't get it? My fiancé, 30M, bought me, 29F, a wedding ring set I can't wear every day. So me and my fiancé have been together for 3 years. We live together and have multiple pets together. We talked about marriage about 3 months before he proposed. I told him what kind of ring I wanted as I'm allergic to so many kinds of metal. I have a lot of jewelry I can't wear because of my allergy and didn't want to take the risk I'd be allergic to the engagement and wedding ring. I spent days researching types of metal that's safe for people with my allergy, non-metal ring options, and even silicone rings. After about a week, I found it. The ring. I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. I messaged the maker asking for more details. They're handmade, hypoallergenic, extremely affordable, and beautiful. There's even a matching wedding ring set. I sent the link to my then boyfriend and he said we'd get it no problem. 2 weeks after I sent him that link, he wants to go to a major nationwide diamond retailer. I asked why and he said just to look. I agreed to go but told him the rings I want, I already sent to him. We go look at very expensive rings and nothing catches my eye. They're metal I'm allergic to or a diamond which I'm not fond of, or just plain gaudy looking. Then the saleslady pulls out some pre-owned rose gold diamond wedding ring sets. I saw a few I liked but I can't wear a gold and diamond ring every day because of my job. I do manual labor and oftentimes use abrasive chemicals that would tarnish a gold ring. My now fiancé falls in love with one set and says it's the one for me. I agree it's a very beautiful ring. It's 4x more expensive than the set I want. I told him I wanted to keep looking but he insisted on getting it and had the lady bring it to the checkout. He gets it then tells his parents he got me the ring I really wanted. It's not what I really wanted. The first set I can wear every day because the maker designed it with people who do manual labor in mind. This new set I can't wear every day and that's what I wanted. I'm so disappointed that he repeatedly did not listen to me and my desires. So Reddit, what would you do in my situation? Main problem here is that, as you say, he wasn't willing to listen to you. Buying someone a gift with greater monetary value may seem like a nice gesture in principle, but it's pointless if it's not a suitable gift or item for the person getting it. Be honest with him and say you're frustrated he's completely ignored your wishes. If he can't understand your health reasons and listen now, what do you think marriage has in future? Likely, ignore your needs and do what he wants. It is all about his ego. It will be a repeating issue if you marry him. I wouldn't marry him. Plain and simple. This is such a red flag. He totally ignored both your preferences and your health issues. This is likely to be a recurring theme in your marriage. You know how wedding photographers say that their biggest predictor of divorce is when a man smashes a woman's face into a cake. For me, it's when engagement ring preferences are ignored. I have seen this over and over with friends and colleagues through the years. It really is one of those seemingly insignificant things that speak volumes. This behavior will carry on into other aspects of your relationship. He is showing you that he has disregard for your needs and boundaries. My F24, BF, M26, called me ugly in front of our friends. My boyfriend and I have been together for around 4 years now and have known each other for longer. Last night we had a few friends over, some of whom I was meeting for the first time in person. As the only couple in the group, they ended up asking us our love story, how we met, etc. A little bit of context, my boyfriend and I met at work. He apparently noticed me on the first day and had an eye on me for some time. He has told me in the past that after a few days, he lost interest in me and moved on to another girl, who he ended up liking for 2 years, before we started dating. About my looks. I'm a fairly attractive woman, if I have to guess. I've always gotten a ton of attention from men and sometimes women. People compliment me usually. I'm very smart and have a good job as well, and people generally say I'm a great catch. Back to last night, when our friends asked us to tell our relationship story, he started with how he was initially interested in me, but then lost interest after a few days because he realized I was ugly. I was so embarrassed and hurt. I tried to deflect and make light of the situation by saying, "Haha, are you sure? That's not what you said last time?" And this man doubled down? He was, "Yeah. That's why I lost interest in you." I was just so embarrassed and didn't know how to save face, so I just smiled awkwardly and let him finish the story. I feel like our friends could feel it as well, but maybe that's just in my head. I feel like the whole thing is not just hurtful, but also disrespectful and embarrassing. He is usually nice to me and compliments me, but this is just so mean. We've also been actively working on our relationship because I told him he doesn't put in enough efforts, which he agrees with. I don't know what to do. I feel so shitty and I think this will always be there in the back of my mind, but it feels so petty to break up because I got embarrassed. What do I do now? I'd be ending that instantly. You can't spend your life with someone who says that. Break up with him and tell him you lost interest because you realized how ugly his personality is. Wow. That's incredibly hurtful and disrespectful. It's important to be with someone who lifts you up, not tears you down. Have a serious conversation with your boyfriend about how his comment made you feel and evaluate if this is the kind of relationship you want to be in. What he said was cruel. Period. To say it in front of your friends was doubly cruel. You really deserve much better treatment than this. This is not about you being embarrassed. You were embarrassed due to being treated so poorly by your BF. P.S. He's not a keeper. Move on and tell him to shove his ugly words up his ass. You're too young to saddle yourself to that jackass. Am I 43F asking too much of my 43M husband? My husband, 43M, and I, 43F, have been married for 2.5 years. I was married previously for 16 years to a narcissistic man. My husband is a very good man. He never yells at me or the kids and is a wonderful provider. He works long hours and in and out of this heat. He's a strong, tough guy. I love him with all of my heart and I know he loves me. My only concern is he is not affectionate at all. He says he's just not that type. I've talked to him about it so many times, but he says he shows me affection and love in his way. He sold his home and moved to my city when we got engaged, literally uprooted his entire life. I know and appreciate this. I just can't help but feel lonely sometimes. I crave physical affection and intimacy. I stay wondering what is wrong with me. Does he not find me attractive? Does he not love me as much, etc. He's never been really big on cuddling and affection, but when we got married it slowed down a lot. He says it's because he has much more responsibility now and things on his mind. He doesn't have kids and was only married for a year to one person. So his life has been pretty much a bachelor. I know this is a big change for him and I don't want to be selfish. He says I'm picking the one thing he doesn't do to suit my standards, and complaining and won't be happy. I am happy with him, it just hurts my feelings and makes me insecure that we never have physical contact unless we are in bed. So, what do you think? Am I nitpicking? My relationship is the same and you are nitpicking. Just initiate interaction yourself. Schedule the time for cuddling and tell him with your mouth that this is what you need. He is worth his weight in gold by the sound of it. Calm down, girl. Yes, you are nitpicking. The man literally told you he is not affectionate in that way, believe him. Be realistic with your expectations. Don't try to change him or grow resentful because he doesn't express an emotion in your preferred way. I guess my question is, why would you marry a man who doesn't use your love language? It seems like it's a big deal for you. Figure out specifically what you need. 10 minutes of hugging in the morning and or date night next to each other at a restaurant, etc. And ask him for that. Often the issue with being different types is that one partner wants the other to be spontaneous, and that is not always possible for them. Being touched a lot can be sensory overload for some people. Personally, I have to be in a very specific mood to want physical closeness, otherwise it's just too much. The feeling of arm hairs brushing against each other, being close enough to feel someone's breath, the sound of someone swallowing. It may seem like someone is just not into you, but in reality sometimes touch can be draining to sensitive people. I'm not saying that's the case with your partner, but it may be worth asking about. Yes, you are, and you should feel bad about it. Nobody is completely perfect for the other person. Your love languages are different. Open your eyes and start seeing all he does for you and not the one thing he doesn't. Maybe, just maybe your ex wasn't the only person at fault in your last marriage. Change, for you'll eventually be divorced a second time.